Hello and welcome. This is Sharon here. Good to see some people, some familiar faces in the room. How are you all? Okay, before we get started, I just want to give you some logistics so that you can actually answer my questions when I ask you things like how you are. So before we get started, you will see, just as I click on this now, that there is a chat bar on the right-hand side of your screen. And you can type questions or comments or say hi just in the bottom dialog box of that chat screen. So go ahead maybe and just write in a hi or some sort of greeting, just that I know that you can hear me and that I'm broadcasting okay. And then we can get started. So hopefully you can make sense of what I've just said. Let me make sure that this is set up properly. All right, that might have changed things. So just double check. On the right hand side of your screen, there will be a little dialog box at the bottom, and you can type whatever you like into it. It doesn't even have to be a greeting. And the good thing is I've got my handy IT technician on board as well. So if you're listening to this, you're going to hear me speak to Mark in just a second as well, and just ask Mark if he's able to type in. Can you type it into the chat box?
How was it originally? Mute it for a moment.
All right, I'm going to carry on because I know that you can hear me. I just can't see your comments. So I have got the other computer set up and the chat's coming through on the other computer. So I will be able to duck across there from time to time to be able to check any questions that you've got, any comments that you've got, because I would love for you to be able to interact throughout the webinar. So if as we go through, if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask that you think is particularly relevant to the content that I'm talking about, then please just type those questions into the chat box. And like I said, I'll duck over to the other computer from time to time and check those questions. Thank goodness for backup plans, huh? So, with that in mind, thank you for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. I've got some great content to share with you about your emotions, your mindset, your health and your well-being to set you up for a great 2015, to make sure that this 2015 is going to give you the kind of success that you want around your health and your well-being. If you haven't already achieved the success that you're looking for, or if perhaps you're just wanting to take the next step and build on the success that you've already created for yourself, perhaps in 2014 or at other times in your life. So with that in mind, I'm going to come off video and actually going to screen share my PowerPoints, and we're going to get started. So here we go. Hopefully this works well, huh? Right. There we go. All right. So we're broadcasting for sure. We can see those PowerPoints. So I know that you're with me. So welcome to the 5 secret emotional beliefs for weight loss and vitality. We're going to be looking specifically at what causes women to have fantastic health and weight loss and how to achieve it for yourselves now. And of course, my name is Sharon. There's some of you on the call who know who I am and have known me for quite a while actually, and there's some of you on the call who are brand new to the community who don't know who I am, so therefore I'm going to give you a bit of an introduction of myself in just a moment as well. But first of all, let's look at tonight what we will learn. So first of all, I want to cover off and look at a unique way for you to get incredible results with your body, even though you'll be working less on that part of your life. So what I mean by this is we're going to be discussing tonight how the health and the wellbeing industry is notoriously good at telling people what to do. However, it doesn't always give people all the tools that they need to be able to execute that very well. So to execute it. So it's one thing to know what to do, it's another thing to know how to do it, and another thing entirely to make sure that you can continue to do it. So when I say it's a unique way, it's looking at your mindset, it's looking at how you think and how you can make those behaviours a automatic response almost within your lifestyle and within your behaviours that you perform on a daily basis. We're going to look at how women achieve greater fitness by taking on the 5 secret emotional beliefs. So I'm going to be letting you in on a little secret and letting you know what these 5 most powerful emotional beliefs are that you can embrace that will help you to maintain your fitness at your desired level, and to certainly achieve the greater fitness that you're looking for. And then finally, we're going to look at the 5 sabotaging beliefs that almost all women have and they're not even aware of, which means that these beliefs are running in the background, they're running in our unconscious. So our brain is an amazing tool and it has many, many complicated programs that it's running all at the same time. So sometimes the sabotaging beliefs we don't even know are operating, and so that's why sometimes we can find ourselves going to do things, or perhaps retrospectively looking back on what we've done and questioning why it is that we did it, and not really understanding why we did it, but just putting it down to, well, that's what I do, or that's who I am. Some of those beliefs can be changed, which means some of those automatically programmed behaviours don't have to naturally occur. You can actually change the beliefs that create the change in behaviour, which means that you're going to get different results. And of course, this is going to lead you to the kind of results that you're looking for. For some women, this can be the reason why they're not losing weight at all, even though they're trying to do the right things. They're trying to exercise regularly, and for some cases, they're even exercising the prescribed number of times, and they're trying to eat well, and in some cases, they are actually eating quite well. So that's what we're going to cover through tonight. I hope that sounds good to you. I hope it sounds exciting. And I hope it sounds like the kind of thing that you jumped on board to be able to learn more about. So let's get into just a little bit about me first of all, because like I said, there are some people on the call who haven't met me before. So I wanted to just give you a brief background as to where I'm coming from to be able to deliver this information. So I'm a qualified life coach and an NLP master practitioner. So I've done about 2 years of study in this field to understand the mindset and behaviour, to understand the human brain, to understand how our personalities are created, to understand how our behaviours are created, and knowing that this comes from a mindset. And in our mindset, we have certain things as human beings that we are naturally set up to do. I've had 10 plus years of experience in the health and fitness industry. So I started out as a personal trainer over 10 years ago, and some of you yes, it's been over 10 years. So I started right back then as a personal trainer, and as I learned of the shortfalls in the industry, that prescriptive exercise and nutritional plans aren't enough to get people the results that they're looking for. That's coaching and the NLP training. So I went through my own weight loss journey, having lost about 10 kilos in that time and have been able to keep it off for that time as well. I'm very passionate about peak performance for the physical body. I completed my first Ironman in Busselton at the end of last year, which I have to say was an accomplishment for me and something that I'm really proud of. And finally, I'm the co-director of my business called Uplifting Wellness, and I run it with my husband called Mark Smith. And we deliver programs, one-to-one coaching and personal training to meet the emotional, mental and physical demands of our community. So we love what we do. We are extremely passionate about it, and we live it and breathe it every single day. So hopefully that comes through in the presentation tonight. So enough about you. Enough about you. Enough about me. Let's focus more on you. And I'd love to know, or at least I'd like you to be able to think about for yourselves, what is it that you want to create for your 2015 around your health and your well-being? Where are you going this year that is going to be extraordinary, that's going to set you up for success, and that come December 31st, you're going to feel really good about? And once you get clear and once you sort of associate into those goals, I want you to ask yourself, what is the difference that will make the difference for you this year? Because you're all on this call for one particular reason, and that's because you want to change something. You want to do something differently. Now, you might have achieved great results in 2014, but maybe you're on this call because you want to either achieve those goals or maintain those goals easier and more effectively, or perhaps you want to build on those goals. Perhaps you want to take your health and your fitness to the next level. And if 2014 wasn't as you wanted it to be, then maybe you're on this call because you want to do something differently. You want to get different results. You want to see the kind of results that you actually say that you're going to achieve. So whether it be for you or for someone that you know quite closely, there's a reason that you're on this call, and usually that thing is to find the difference, that thing that will make the difference for you this year. So as you're reflecting on what you want 2015 to be like for you, think about what your 2014 was like for you, and think about what you would want to be different. So it's right about now that I'm going to be quoting William Shakespeare. And the famous quote from William Shakespeare that I'm going to be borrowing is, "To be or not to be, that is the question." Now, like I said in the past, and many of you are my coaching clients, so you know that's a little interruption from the other computer. All right, we're all good again. So some of you know that I talk a lot about the being. So to be or not to be, that is the question. And in the health and fitness industry, it is notorious for focusing on not the be, but rather on the do. So with a lot of my clients, I talk about the being, and for my coaching clients, you'll know what I'm talking about. For those of you who haven't received coaching from me before, the distinction is this. There is a big difference between who you are being and what you are doing. And we often find that in the health and fitness industry, the programs are focused on the doing. For example, on what to eat, or more often what not to eat. And there is a whole other presentation on the challenges of focusing on what not to eat, and I'll leave that for another time. Focusing on what exercises to do, how much water to drink, how often to stretch, how often to recover, and what supplements to take. Now, all of these things fall into the category of what to do. Now, this works well when our central processing unit, i.e. our brain, is set up well to perform these functions. So when our mindset is set up well to get out there and exercise on a regular basis because you want to and you enjoy it, when we truly love eating healthy, nutritious foods, when we believe that we have the capacity to lose weight or change our body shape, when we have the capacity to run a certain distance, that it's within us to be able to do that, when our mindset is set up to know that we deserve to have the kind of results that we're looking for in our health and fitness, whatever those results might be for you, then things work well. However, I have to say that 9 times out of 10 with the clients I've worked with and the experience that I've had, the mindset actually isn't set up to achieve those results. Because let's face it, if the mindset was set up in the way that it should be, I actually wouldn't be seeing these people because they would already be achieving their results. So the health and fitness industry focuses a lot on what to do. And so what I want to deliver to you tonight is more about the being. It's about who you are being in order to set yourself up to do what you want to do. So what I mean by this is, if I was to say, for example, you were working on your computer. Now, I promise that I'm not going to get all IT geek on you. In fact, I'm the least likely person to be able to do that, as you can already see. But if you were trying to, say, check your emails, but there was a bug in your system, in your computer, and every time you clicked on the function to send receive, it diverted you immediately to your media player, and that media player started pumping up music from your computer. Now, not only would this be annoying, the music would also become a distraction. And at times you might even forget that you were even checking your emails. What has this got to do with health and fitness? Well, what if this was how your brain operated? What if the computer was your brain? What if checking your emails was, in fact, the habit of eating well? And what if the music that was blaring out of your computer, the music bug, well, what if that was the chocolate bar that you got distracted by every time you went to the checkout at the supermarket? What if that was what was actually going on for you in your mind? You can see through that little example that the behaviours of the doing can easily get thrown off course if we don't have a focus also on the being, on our thoughts, on our emotions, on our beliefs. It is these thoughts and these emotions that drive your actions. And this is the key to making it easier, more sustainable, and more enjoyable for you to achieve the results that you're looking for out of your health and your well-being. So your mind is everything. It is what we think. What we think is what we become. Can I go a little bit deeper with this? What if instead of having the music player rediverting you choose to control over it? So you're clicking your emails, you're wanting to check your emails, and automatically the media player pops up. That is totally out of your control because the bug is what is controlling it. What if you did have control, and instead of the media playing popping up at a time when you didn't choose it to, the media player only ever came up when you clicked on the link for the media player, i.e. you chose for the music to start playing out of your computer. Now relate this to your health and fitness. What if it was that when you're at the supermarket, rather than instinctually or sort of reactionarily choosing the chocolate bar because you felt like you had this impulse that you just wanted to choose the chocolate bar and that all of your willpower was not working to try and control it? What if you were to just choose to have the chocolate bar because you wanted to, because you felt like, yeah, it's something that I decided that I want to put into my body, that I want to eat right now, and therefore I'm going to have it, and that's it, decision made. How different would that feel to having this bug running in the background which popped up the desire to have chocolate without you really wanting it? It would give you a greater sense of empowerment. It'll give you a greater sense of control to know that you're choosing the actions that you're performing rather than having something that's outside of your control choosing those actions for you. And that's where empowerment actually becomes a sense of more certainty about yourself, to know that you have the control of your mind, that you have the control over your behaviours. So what I'm passionate about is this exactly. It's about helping you and anybody else who's looking for change, who's wanting to create the difference in their 2015 or any other year around their health and fitness, to be able to have that sense of empowerment around knowing that they're in control, that they choose the behaviours that they want to be performing on a day-to-day basis. So this is what tonight's content is about. It's everything that I'm passionate about to do with the health and fitness industry, and it's all about focusing and sharing with you more about the being, or more about mind-body connection. Your key to success is found in your thinking, your mindset, your attitudes, your beliefs, and your values. Don't be fooled, don't be tricked to think that it's about an exercise program. Don't be fooled, don't be tricked to think that it's about a nutrition plan. It's about how you think. Because let's face it, you know how to exercise. You know that walking, running, cycling, going to the pool and swimming, going to a group fitness class, any other kind of activity, you know how to exercise. That's not the problem. The problem is actually getting yourself to do it consistently. And equally, you generally know how to eat well. It's about eating fresh food. It's about eating foods that don't come out of a packet, that are highly processed, that you don't actually know what the ingredients are. That's not new information to you. What the information is that you're looking for is, how do I get myself to do that without having to use just pure willpower to do it, without having to fight all of those contraindicative beliefs and attitudes that go on in my head that fight me every time that I decide that I do or don't want to buy the food that's not so good for me. And what if you were able to make those choices easier? What if you were able to exercise on a regular basis just easily and effortlessly? What if you were able to be able to choose healthier foods automatically without even having to think about it? Think about the amount of energy that you would be saving yourself by simply knowing that you can make those choices easily and effortlessly so that you get the result that you're looking for. All right. So today we're going to be focusing, or tonight rather, we're going to be focusing more specifically on emotions. So we're going to be delving a little bit deeper into the general and broad category of your mindset, and we're going to be focusing more specifically on emotions. So emotions are just one element, one component of your mindset. It's just one part of it. There are other strategies, other core beliefs, other parts of us, our personality profile, for example, that all combine to make up our mindset. So our emotions is just one part of it. So we're going to be focusing on our emotions this evening, and emotions are extremely important. They're what drives us. In fact, emotions are what put energy into motion. So emotion is what motivates us, it's what creates action. And we have two different categories of emotion generally. We have painful emotions and we have pleasure emotions. All right, and just before I dive into that, I'm just going to exit for a second. I just want to check to make sure that I'm still sharing my screen with you to make sure that you can still see it. If you can't see it, write into the chat box. Okay, wait. All right, very good. So there's two different categories of emotions. We've got our painful emotions and we've got our pleasure emotions. So what I mean by this is painful emotions are the ones that we don't desire. They're obviously things like sadness and anger, frustration, guilt, shame. They're emotions that we don't like to experience. Then we've got our pleasure emotions. Our emotions like happiness, joy, excitement, fulfillment, acceptance, love, gratitude, all of those beautiful emotions that we do to experience on a regular basis. Now, coming back to the fact that emotions that create action or action taking that get us to perform behaviours. It's really interesting to know that 70% of the population is actually motivated by pain, or otherwise known as away motivations. Now, what I mean by this is that quite often people decide or get a trigger to take action as a result of what they don't want, or as a result of the emotion that they experience by not having what they want. So, for example, ask yourself, what is it that creates the trigger for you? How do you know when it's time to start exercising, to start to change your diet, to decide to do anything differently in your life for that matter? How do you know it's time? What's the trigger? And what's the emotion? Is it an emotion of pain? Is it an emotion of, oh, I don't like feeling like this? Is it an emotion of, oh, I feel a bit guilty for having eaten the whole packet of Tim Tams, for example? Or perhaps it's, perhaps, and I hope it's not, but perhaps it's the shame of not looking the way that you want to look, or not being able to represent yourself to the way that you want to represent yourself to your family as a mother or as a wife or as a girlfriend. Perhaps there is anger or frustration inside of you that you get annoyed with yourself for having let yourself go so long without exercising, or having got annoyed with yourself for choosing to eat the kind of foods that you know aren't good for you, aren't good for your health and your well-being. So is that your trigger? Do you have a pain motivation? Do you know that it's time to do something? And is that the time that you decide that, right, I've got to make a change now, I've got to start doing something differently? And that's your drive to do something differently. Or are you more motivated by pleasure? Are you more motivated by getting to the emotion of joy and excitement of knowing that you're going to feel really good as a result of fitting into these clothes, or as a result of being able to run around for longer with your children, or feeling really good as a result of being a great role model for your children, or knowing that your energy levels are going to be up as a result of just taking better care of your body. Are you driven by those emotions? Do they trigger you to want to make change? Now, be aware that I'm talking about the trigger. I'm not talking about the reason why you would do it. I'm talking about the trigger that makes you take action. So once you know that, you can actually utilize that to your strength. When you know whether or not you're a pain or a pleasure motivated person, you can utilize that to create your trigger. Now, there is no right or wrong with either one of these things. Now, it might not seem like the kind of thing that you want to do too much of, the experience of painful emotions, but if that's what happens, then unfortunately sometimes that's the kind of thing that you need to experience. And while we can still use pleasure as a motivator, that might be your natural instinct. At the same time, the one thing to consider about pain motivation is that once we start doing an action, or once we start changing our behavior, the pain that we experience as a result of not doing that behavior or not doing that action starts to decrease. So for example, if feeling breathless every time you walk up the stairs is your pain motivation for wanting to start to exercise, as soon as you start exercising, your fitness starts to increase. And as your fitness starts to increase, the pain or the puffiness or the huff and puff that you experience at the top of the stairs also starts to decrease, which means that your motivation also starts to decrease. Now, what happens when our motivation starts to decrease? Then we have less drive to want to take action. And eventually we kind of get to this leveling out point where it's not such a problem anymore. I might just have a day off, and that one day off becomes a week off. And before we know it, it's the end of the month and we haven't done the exercise again, and we're back to where we started. And the next week we find ourselves walking up the stairs and we're puffing again. And again, we've got that trigger to get back into that action. So the best way moving forward is to actually utilize both. If you're a pain motivated, if you're naturally pain motivated, you can continue to use that if you want to. However, I would also be aware of utilizing pleasure motivation, really getting excited and really getting clear on what it is that you want to create, and asking yourself the question, how much better could it be than this what it is right now? Because by asking that question, you start to generate what emotions you want to experience more of as a result of doing more or doing something differently. So that's the first bit about emotions. We know that emotions drive us. We know that emotions motivate us and they encourage us to take action. That's pretty clear now. But there's some other things about emotions that affect our body, the health of our body, our well-being, and our quality of living. And our emotions are capable of changing our hormonal environment. So I like to use the example of watching a scary movie here. So I know that you've all probably watched a scary movie before, and we know that when you watch a scary movie, you know that the actual scenario isn't real. You know that it's just something that's on your TV, it's a movie, it's playing, and it's not really what's happening to you in your environment at this moment in time. However, our brain is an extremely powerful thing, and whatever we see, whatever we perceive, our brain makes it real. So you'll be watching the movie and you'll start to notice that as the height of the movie starts to approach, really start, the heart rate might start to increase, and maybe the palms of your hands will start to get sweaty, and you'll start to get a bit nervous, a little bit twitchy, and you might even get a little bit anxious. You'll be sitting on the edge of your seat, you might have your hands up to your face, and you start to react in a way as if it was really happening to you. Now, this is the power of our mind. Not only are you physically changing your behavior, emotionally and within our body, hormonally, our environment is also changing. So we're starting to get a rush of adrenaline. We're starting to switch into our fight and flight nervous system, which means that we're ready to react at the shortest of notice. and we can run to safety because we have this fear going on within our brains and our bodies as a result of this scary movie that's being shown on our TV. So if we take this out of the scary movie scenario, anything that you experience on a daily basis also has the ability to change your hormone environment. And it might be a pleasurable experience. So when we do have pleasurable experiences, we have all the positive endorphin hormones, the oxytocin and the serotonin running through our body. And this is really good for us. So both negative or scary environments and positive, happy environments change the hormonal environment within our body. Now, this also means that our emotions have the ability to both heal and also cause illness or disease in our body. So our hormones are extremely powerful things, and they can affect our health and our well-being greatly. In addition to that, we also have neurotransmitters that bathe every single cell of our body based on the emotions that we're experiencing at the time. So when you're experiencing a negative emotion, then the certain neurotransmitter will get released, and it will bathe every single one of our cells in our body. Now, if it's a negative emotion, then these neurotransmitters are potentially harmful to our body, and they can cause illness and disease. So aches and pains and colds and flus and anything in our body that's not healthy can be created as a result of emotional stress, essentially. Equally, when we have happy emotions, we have a different neurotransmitter that gets released throughout our body, and that bathes our cells as well. And this has the ability to heal our body. And this is where we hear about wonderful stories where people overcome cancer through just being able to be around friends and family and experiencing good experiences in their recovery, and their bodies heal. And I love stories like that, and I love the research that's going on around neuroscience and the connection between the mind and the body, because we're getting even more examples of how linked the mind is to the body and how much of a role there is to play in emotions and emotional well-being for our overall health and our well-being. Emotions also have the ability to change our energetic state. So you know what it's like when you're hanging out with someone who's feeling good, they're feeling up, and they've just got good emotions running through their body. You can sense that by spending time with them. Equally, you can sense the opposite of that. When someone's feeling down or a bit depressed, you can sometimes walk away from that feeling a little bit drained yourself. So our emotions change our own personal energetic state, and they have the chance of influencing the energetic state of the people that we hang out with as well. They can also create or affect our decision-making abilities. You know what it's like when you've got good emotions running through you, when you're feeling happy, when you're feeling confident, when you're excited about something. It's much easier to make decisions. You're much more decisive in those moments. Equally, if you're feeling a bit down or a bit depressed, if you're feeling frustrated, feeling angry, if you've got shame or guilt, then our decisions become a bit clouded. We're a bit foggy in our head. We're not sure of what we should do or what we shouldn't do. We have doubts running through us, and therefore it affects our decision-making abilities. And finally, emotions impact our self-esteem. Makes sense. When we're feeling good about us, or when we're feeling good, we're also going to be feeling good about ourselves. So our emotions are extremely powerful things, and they can influence our health and our well-being greatly. So with this in mind, I want to share with you what the... No, I just lost the slide. Bear with me 2 seconds. I want to share with you what the 5 top sabotaging emotions are. And once I get this slide to come up, I will share them with you. Why is my computer not cooperating? All right. So I have my trusty IT manager on board. I told you I wasn't the IT pro.
All right, all yours.
Whew, there we go. All right, so back on track. So the top 5 sabotaging emotions. So I just wanted to bring these to your awareness so that you could become aware of what emotions could potentially be causing you harm, and ultimately the kind of emotions that we don't want to experience. These are the top 5 common sabotaging emotions that we experience around when they're not able to achieve the kind of health and well-being results that they're looking for. So shame, fear, doubt, guilt, and frustration. Any one of these emotions has the ability to stop you in your tracks when it comes to you wanting to achieve your health and well-being results. If we have shame about ourselves or about what we do, there is going to be a strong pull within us at an unconscious level. Like I said before, sometimes these programs run in our unconscious and we aren't even aware that they happen. So if you have shame running in the background, you're not even aware that you have it, but deep down somewhere inside you, there is an element of shame. There will also be a reason or a distraction for you to not achieve your health and your well-being goals. And at a real basic level, the reason that happens is because if you feel shame towards who you are or how you're being, then why would you want to, or why should you achieve your goals? It's as simple as that. And even though you will set these goals, you will unconsciously sabotage them because something deep down within you, you have an experience of shame, and therefore you have an associated belief that goes with that, that says that you should not achieve success in your health and well-being because, for whatever reason, insert your specific reason here. Similar kind of thing with fear. If you have fear running in the background, there might be a fear of success. There also might be a fear that you're not good enough, a fear that you won't be loved, that you won't fit in anymore. The three key fears that anybody will experience from time to time would be a fear of not being loved, a fear of not belonging, and a fear of not being good enough. And if you have any one of these fears running in the background, then again you will sabotage your efforts to try and be healthier and fitter for fear of making that reality come true. If you fear that you won't belong anymore because you change either the way that you look or the way that you behave, like your lifestyle, you'll start to exercise more and you'll start to eat differently, then that fear will naturally stop you from wanting to reach commitment or reach fulfillment with that goal. If you have a fear of not being loved or a fear of not being good enough as the new version of you, of the person who is now healthier and fitter, again, that same sabotage strategy will come up because you have that fear deep down inside. If you have doubt about yourself, or if you experience doubt at an emotional level on a regular basis, this doubt will stop you from committing 110% or 100% to taking action around your health and fitness, because that doubt will minimize the amount of energy that you want to put into it. The doubt will create this indecision, hesitation, and therefore you will only commit 50% to your goals, 50% to your actions, because the doubt will override the intensity that you need to commit to those goals to really make them successful. Guilt, similar to shame, it really sits right next to it. If you have guilt about something that you've done or who you are in relation to people, then this guilt may sabotage or override that desire to want to achieve your results. And the frustration is an emotion that can create a lot of stress in the body. And this stress that we create in the body can have a sabotaging effect on our health and our well-being. You could in fact still be doing all the things that you say that you need to do around your health and your fitness. You could be exercising regularly, you could be eating well, and if you have frustration or anger or even rage at a greater intensity going on within the body, it creates emotional stress for the body, it changes the internal environment, and that will undo all of the good work that you're putting in around exercise and nutrition to the point where it might equal out
the effort that you're putting in so that you actually see no results, which just builds on that frustration. You try even harder, still seeing no results, and it becomes an ongoing circle. So they're the top 5 sabotaging emotions. They're the things that you want to avoid. But what about the emotional states that you want to have more of? Now, through my work with women, particularly around health and well-being, these are the top 5 emotional states that we've recognized that you need to have present in your life and within you in order to achieve the kind of health and well-being that you're looking for. So number 1 is respect. Respect is respect for yourself and, of course, respect for others, but ultimately for respect for yourself. Imagine what choices you would make around prioritizing yourself in the day and your daily actions if you were treating yourself with respect. Rather than putting other people first, rather than meeting other people's demands first, you would choose to meet your own demands and do something for yourself first before you decided to do something for someone else. Now, please don't confuse this with selfishness. And I often get that question with women when I talk about this, is that not being selfish? And the answer is, of course not. The greatest way that we can give to other people is by first treating ourselves with love, with respect, and giving ourselves the capacity to treat ourselves the way that we would want other people to treat us and the way that we would want to be able to treat other people in return. It's the whole airline scenario: put your own gas mask on or oxygen mask on first so that you can be of most assistance to somebody else. So number 1, you treat yourself with respect. Also consider what sort of food would you put into your body if you were treating your body with 100% respect. Would you choose to put foods that are nutritionally lacking, or would you choose to put foods that are nutritionally dense? And of course, the natural answer is you're going to choose to put foods that are naturally, nutritionally dense into your body when you're treating your body with respect. Number 2, have gratitude. So have absolute gratitude for yourself. Of course, have gratitude for the things and the people around you. But number 1, have gratitude for yourself. Give yourself praise. Be thankful for everything that you do already have. Within each one of you on the call and within all of us, we have beautiful elements. And we need to recognize these beautiful elements within ourselves. Recognize every single one of them. Because without recognizing our beautiful elements, we will not build more beautiful elements or start to build on what we already have. Because if you can't even recognize what you've already got, then something within you will not even allow you to create more of that, because you can't even be grateful for what you've already got. Trust. Absolutely have trust within yourself. You know, sometimes things don't go to plan. And when things don't go to plan and we have a lack of trust, then we start to panic and we try to, we go into stress mode and we try to regain control. However, if things don't go to plan and we approach it with trust, just knowing that it's okay, things will work out as they need to, and I will be okay, then that trust allows us to approach it with more of a relaxed and a calm state. And that relaxed and calm state creates that beautiful, happy hormonal balance and sends out those beautiful neurotransmitters throughout all of our cells in our body, which creates a healing and positive environment within our body and allows us to achieve the best results possible for our health and our well-being. Number 4, acceptance. Be able to accept yourself. We all have we all make mistakes. We all have things about ourselves that we wish to change or that we know we could improve upon. But when we accept ourselves, it's very similar to that gratitude. When we have acceptance for ourselves and mistakes that we make, then we allow ourselves to have forgiveness. We allow ourselves to move on and have more experiences. Because without having more experiences, we don't learn and we don't grow. And there's every chance that the next experience you will make another mistake. But that's okay, because when you have acceptance, you allow yourself to at least go through that process of having another experience. And finally, love. we must have love for ourselves and love for our bodies, love for who we are as people. And I don't mean love because of the roles that we play. I genuinely mean love for ourselves. If we were to strip back all the roles that we play, the mother role, the friend role, the wife, the girlfriend role, our career roles, if we were to not be any of that, but to just be our pure selves, we need to have love for ourselves at that fundamental level in order to create the kind of well-being that we're looking for within our lives. So I trust that that all makes sense so far. I want to share with you now the top 4 key influencing factors that can affect your emotional state, specific to the health and the well-being industry. So we've already found that your mindset is your central processing unit. It's the thing that controls your behaviours, and it's the thing that controls your emotional state as well. Now, your emotional state has the ability to heal and to harm. It's the ability to control your emotion, your hormonal environment, and it's the ability to drive us and to help us to take action. Now, there are some things within our world that are within our control, and there are some things within our world that are outside of our control. For example, number 1 top key influencing factor that can affect our emotions is the media. Now, the media is something that is not within our control. We will be exposed to it forever unless something drastic happens. The media has the ability, if you allow it to have a huge effect on your emotions. It could be really easy to experience fear and shame and guilt around your body, around your health and your fitness, around your well-being, if you were to buy into the messages that are being pumped through the media 24/7. The Biggest Loser is all about people, number 1, wanting to lose weight. So there is definitely a good message in it, but there is also some negative messages in there as well, in that people get beasted on the show. That the whole thing is that you've got to be different in order to be happy. That we all need to be a certain size or a certain shape in order to experience love and happiness in our life. The Desperate to be Skinny says that, this whole title around this desperation to be skinny sets us up for being desperate to be skinny as well. As soon as we read that headline, it's like, oh, we feel this pull to have to try and lose weight. And again, all of the weight loss solutions and all the nutritional plans and diet plans tell us that we should be trying to focus on our nutrition, that we should be trying to cut calories, that we should be trying to make changes to our diet in order to be a certain way. So that is something that is outside of our control. The media itself and the messages that it pumps out are outside of our control. However, I'm going to share with you something in a moment that can actually flip those messages around and can give you a different perspective on what it is that the media is portraying at times, which is where your greatest strength will come from. But that's the number 1 key influencing factor. Number 2 is other people's experiences. Now, again, this is something that is outside of our control. It's something that we can't change another person's experience. We can change how we think about it, but that's coming to the next point in just a moment. But other people's actual experiences, we can't change them. And we know what we're like as women. We like to sit around, we like to have a chin wag, we like to have a bit of a gossip, we like to share stories. And inevitably, everybody has I hate to say it, but a failure story around health and fitness, around weight loss, around diets, around trying to get fitter and get healthier. We've all had an experience where we haven't been able to stick to it, where we've fallen off the bandwagon, where it hasn't worked for us, where we've just not gotten the results that we were after. So if we decide to allow that to get to us, if we allow that to become our reality, then other people's experiences can create shame, fear, guilt, frustration within us. And as we've already found, these negative emotions certainly don't help us to achieve the weight loss and the wellbeing results that we're looking for. So that's the number 2 key influencing factor. The number 3 key influencing factor is now something that is coming back to within your control. So our own past experiences. these past experiences, we can choose whether we have a happy memory or we have a negative memory associated with these past experiences. You could either choose to see your past experiences where you haven't got the results that you quite wanted to be failures, or you can chalk them down to experience and an opportunity to learn and to grow. Now, it's one thing to say that. It's one thing to say whether or not you choose to see your past experiences where you haven't got the result that you want, to chalk them down to an opportunity to learn. However, it's another thing to actually genuinely believe that. So this is where number 4 key influencing factor comes into play. And our most powerful way of influencing our emotional state is something that is totally within your control, and it's your own beliefs and values. Because if you believe that you're a good and decent person, you will see evidence of that show up in your world. If you believe that you can lose weight, you will see more evidence of that showing up in your world. So you will see and hear of other people's experiences when they did lose weight rather than when they didn't. If you believe that it is possible to cure yourself of cancer through positive emotions and healing, the healing power of neurotransmitters and positive hormones, then you will see and you will seek out examples of that. If you value good nutrition, if you value moving your body on a daily basis, then again, you will see evidence of that in your world. Now, we create the reality that we experience, and we do that through our beliefs and our values. It's like when you've gone to buy a new car, for example, or a new phone, or any other new item that you wanted to purchase. But before you purchased it, but after you decided that you wanted it, did you notice that thing pop up everywhere in your reality? And that's because your beliefs have changed, and your RAS, your reticular activating system, part of your mindset, went to work at seeking out evidence to prove that that belief was true. The belief that that car was a really cool car, to the belief that the thing that you wanted to buy was actually something that you really liked, which therefore gave you the motivation to want to go and buy it. So your own beliefs and your own values are what generate your emotional state within your body, and your emotional state within your body is what has the power to motivate you to take action, is what drives you to stay maintaining your goals and maintain the behaviours that you want to continue to perform. It's what helps to heal your body, and it's what gives you the quality of life that you're looking for around your health and your well-being. So my overall message for you tonight, if you were to take away one key message from all of this, it would be at cause. And what I mean by that is that being at cause means that you create your emotional state based on your own internal environment, your own thoughts, your own beliefs, rather than allowing the external environment to dictate your emotional state. So rather than feeling a certain way as a result of what someone says to you or what you read in the newspaper, choose how you want to feel and create that for yourself by having the beliefs and having the values that set you up for success with that. Now, I understand that probably your next question is, well, how do we do that? How do we set up our beliefs? How do we set up our values to give us a state of being at cause and the opportunity to influence our emotional states? That is something that requires some more work, and one of the things that I talk about on the programs and the live events that I deliver throughout the year. So if you're wanting more information about how to create this kind of change, then stay on board. I'm going to be delivering more webinars. There'll be a live event coming up in the next couple of months where I'll be helping people to step into that place of creating the being at cause state within yourself and your own reality. So tonight we've covered a whole bunch of content. We've looked at how you can create the results that you want, how you can utilize your mindset as a unique way to, number one, get the results that you want, rather than relying on programs and plans which tell you what to do, but don't change how you're being or how you're thinking, that don't fix the bugs in your system, that don't stop the media player from popping up at times that are outside of your control. It's about focusing on who you're being, setting your mindset up for success. And by doing that, you start to create, take control of your emotional state. And when you take control of your emotional state, you can set yourself up to make better decisions, that you can be at control, at the control of your own emotional dashboard. So based on the information that I've shared tonight, have you got any questions? What have you noticed about your emotions and your own emotional states? What sort of emotional states do you experience on a regular basis? What have you learned tonight, and what are your take-home messages? Now, given that I can't actually see any of the chat that you're typing up, so I do apologise if I haven't answered any of the questions that you have throughout the webinar. I haven't seen any come up, but I think that's more because my chat box isn't working. Then please email me any questions that you have, and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. So I'm just going to type in what my email address is for those of you who don't already have it. At upliftingwellness.com.au. So you can email me any questions that you have, and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you on any of the content that we've got tonight. Before you go, if you are interested in gaining access to more of this information, to knowing how to create that change within your mindset, to become more at cause, to take greater control over your emotional well-being, then I have a live event coming up. It's called The Connected Body, How to Set Yourself Up for Success. It will all be about the mindset relating to your health and your well-being. And the link is right there at the bottom of the screen, but I'm also going to email it to you as well, so you'll have that email directly coming to you pretty soon after the webinar is finished, and you can go ahead and click directly on that link, and you can register yourself for that live event. So I trust that this has been useful information. We're pretty much right on time, 8:29, 1 minute to spare. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. I trust you found it really useful, and I look forward to speaking with you and hearing from you sometime soon. Until then, good night.